Jackie Chan doesn't react when the words are spoken. That's what unsettles everyone. Not the insult. Not the laughter that follows. The stillness. Hong Kong, late 1970s. The dojo sits above a row of closed shops, its windows fogged from heat and breath. Wooden floors polished smooth by decades of bare feet. The smell of sweat and liniment oil hangs in the air, thick but familiar. This is not a film set. No kameras. No choreography. No forgiving second takes. Jackie is here as a courtesy. A mutual acquaintance suggested he stop by while passing through the district. A friendly visit. A sign of respect between disciplines. Karate and Kung Fu. Old rivalry. Older pride. The head instructor is famous. A champion. Multiple tournament titles. Known for breaking boards, ribs, and reputations. His students watch him the way people watch certainty. Jackie bows when he enters. Some return it. Some don't. Introductions are brief. Formal. Jackie's name lands in the room without explanation. A few recognize it. Most don't. Training resumes. The instructor demonstrates combinations with precision. Sharp strikes. Snapping kicks. Controlled aggression. Applause follows. Jackie watches quietly from the wall, observing. During a break, the instructor approaches. He looks Jackie up and down. Not rudely. Clinically. "You're smaller than I expected," he says. Jackie smiles politely. "I hear that often." A few students chuckle. The instructor doesn't. "I've seen your films," the instructor continues. "You move well. Very fast." Jackie nods. "Thank you." "But films are not fighting," the instructor says. Jackie remains silent. The instructor gestures to his students. "They hit with structure," he says. "With bone alignment. With discipline." He turns back to Jackie. "You're just flesh and bone," he says. "Nothing special." The room reacts instantly. Laughter. Murmurs. Anticipation. Jackie doesn't move. Doesn't smile. Doesn't defend himself. He lets the words settle. "Flesh and bone breaks," the instructor adds. "Discipline doesn't." Jackie inclines his head slightly. "That's true," he says. The instructor pauses. He expected resistance. "So," the instructor says, "why don't you show us what movies teach?" The challenge isn't shouted. It's offered. Publicly. Jackie looks around the room. At the students. At the instructor. At the floor. "I didn't come to fight," Jackie says calmly. The instructor smiles. "I didn't ask you to," he replies. "I asked you to demonstrate. The distinction matters." The room leans in. Jackie considers. Refusing would confirm the narrative. Accepting would escalate it. "Light contact," Jackie says. The instructor nods. "Of course." They clear space. Students form a loose ring. No ceremony. No referee. Jackie removes his jacket, folds it neatly, places it against the wall. The simple act draws attention. The instructor steps forward. He's taller, heavier, confident in a way that doesn't ask permission. "Rules?" Jackie asks. The instructor smirks. "You'll feel them." They bow. Only Jackie bows fully. The instructor attacks first. Fussed. Direct. A flurry designed to overwhelm. Jackie retreats. Barely. Redirecting strikes instead of blocking. Letting momentum pass. The students react audibly. They didn't expect that. The instructor presses harder. Kicks snap toward Jackie's legs. Jackie absorbs one. Light. But deliberate. "You see?" the instructor says mid-exchange. "Flesh." Jackie doesn't respond. He adjusts his distance. Jackie counters. Not with power. With placement. Tap to the shoulder. A redirection of the wrist. Nothing flashy. But it disrupts rhythm. The instructor frowns. Increases force. Now he's trying to prove something. Jackie feels the shift. This is no longer demonstration. It's ego. The instructor throws a full power punch. Jackie steps inside. The punch misses. Jackie's palm stops an inch from the instructor's chest. The room freezes. Jackie withdraws his hand. No strike. No finish. Just the implication. The instructor laughs sharply. "Lucky," he says. Jackie meets his eyes. Again. Jackie says softly. The instructor attacks again. Harder. Sloppier. This time Jackie moves differently. He enters. Closes distance. Crowds the instructor's stance. The instructor tries to reset. He can't. Jackie applies pressure to the elbow. Not enough to injure. Enough to unbalance. The instructor stumbles back a step. Gasps. The room goes quiet. You're fast, the instructor says. Jackie nods. You're strong, he replies. The instructor shakes out his arm. His smile is gone. He attacks again. This time with intent. Jackie intercepts. Redirects. Steps to the side. And lightly places 2 fingers against the instructor's throat. Not pushing. Just touching. The message is unmistakable. Jackie steps back immediately. Hands down. Non tretenind. The room doesn't breathe. You said I'm just flesh and bone, Jackie says calmly. So are you. The instructor swallows. But flesh and bone move differently. Jackie continues. When they're trained to listen, the instructor doesn't answer. Not because he can't, because he knows the room has shifted. The students exchange looks. Not mocking now. Questioning. The instructor straightens. You're skilled, he says. Jackie bows. So are you. The instructor hesitates. Then nods once. Stay, he says. Train. Jackie retrieves his jacket. Places it back on. I will, he says. But what happens next won't be decided on the mat. It will unfold in conversations. In bruised pride. In whether strength is measured by dominance. Or restraint. Because the real shock wasn't that Jackie could fight. It was that he chose not to finish. And the room will never forget that moment. The room doesn't erupt after Jackie steps back. That's what surprises everyone. There's no applause. No laughter. No argument rushing in to fill the gap. Just a silence that feels heavier than the insults that came before it. The instructor lowers his hand slowly. Not in defeat. In recalibration. He looks at the 2 fingers that had hovered near his throat moments earlier. Then back at Jackie. His breathing is steady, but something behind his eyes has shifted. Not fear. Recognition. The students don't know where to look. Some stare at Jackie. Some stare at their instructor. A few look at the floor, embarrassed without fully knowing why. The hierarchy they thought they understood has tilted. Not collapsed. Tilted. Enough for today, the instructor says finally. His voice is calm but quieter than before. Training is dismissed. Students bow out one by one, whispering among themselves, replaying the exchange in fragments that already feel larger than the moment itself. When the room empties, only 4 people remain. Jackie, the instructor, the senior assistant, and a young black belt who hasn't taken his eyes off Jackie since the exchange began. The instructor gestures toward the center of the mat. Sit, he says. Not an order. An invitation. They sit cross-legged across from one another. Equal height now. Equal ground. I spoke carelessly, the instructor says after a long pause. Jackie shakes his head gently. No, he replies. You spoke honestly. The instructor studies him. Most men would have struck back, he says. Jackie nods. Yes. Why didn't you? Jackie considers the question. Because then we'd both be right, he says. The instructor exhales through his nose. That doesn't make sense. Jackie smiles faintly. If I hit you, he explains, you could say strength answered strength. Nothing changes. But if I don't, then we have to talk. The assistant shifts uncomfortably. The instructor remains still. You embarrassed me, the instructor says. Jackie nods. I know. You did it in my own school. Jackie nods again. Yes. Why? The instructor asks. Why come here at all? Jackie looks around the room. At the worn floor. At the callous walls. At the discipline etched into the space. Because places like this are honest, Jackie says. And because I wanted to see what you protect. The instructor raises an eyebrow. Protect. Jackie nods. Your students. Your system. Your certainty, he says. You protect it fiercely. That tells me it matters. The instructor looks down at his hands. For the first time, they don't look like weapons. They look like tools. I said you were just flesh and bone, the instructor says quietly. Jackie smiles. So did you, he replies. The instructor looks up sharply. What? You're flesh and bone too, Jackie repeats. So am I. So are they. He gestures toward the empty room. The difference isn't what we're made of. It's how much we listen to it. The instructor is silent for a long time. Then he stands. Come tomorrow, he says. Early. Jackie nods. I will. The next morning, the dojo opens before the sun clears the buildings. The air is cooler, quieter. No students yet. Just Jackie and the instructor. They don't spar. They train. The instructor begins with fundamentals. Stance. Breathing. Rooting through the feet. Jackie follows without correction, without commentary. He absorbs. Then it's Jackie's turn. Not to teach karate. To teach awareness. He demonstrates how tension leaks into shoulders during anticipation. How eyes telegraph intention. How speed without calm becomes predictable. The instructor listens. Really listens. They work slowly. Painfully. Not because it hurts. Because it dismantles habits. At one point, the instructor pauses mid-drill. You don't waste motion, he says. Jackie nods. I can't afford to, he replies. The instructor studies him. Because you're smaller? Jackie smiles. Because I'm human. Students arrive gradually. They watch quietly from the edge. No one interrupts. No one laughs. Over the next few days, Jackie becomes a presence in the dojo. Not as a challenger. As a mirror. Students notice things. Their instructor corrects less aggressively. Listens more. Demonstrates patience instead of dominance. One student finally asks the question they're all thinking. Who won? He asks. The instructor looks at Jackie. Then back at the student. No one, he says. That's why you're paying attention. Jackie stays a week. No announcements. No publicity. Just work. On the final day, the instructor bows deeply. Lower than protocol requires. Jackie returns it. Equally deep. You changed something here, the instructor says. Jackie shakes his head. No, he replies. You allowed it to change. Years later, the instructor recounts the story differently each time. Sometimes he emphasizes the insult. Sometimes the silence. Sometimes the fingers near his throat. But he always ends the same way. He could have hurt me, he says. Instead, he taught me. Jackie carries the lesson forward quietly. Not as philosophy. As adjustment. His on-screen fights shift. Less invincibility. More vulnerability. More moments where he absorbs impact instead of transcending it. Audiences feel it even if they can't name it. When asked in interviews about strength, Jackie answers differently now. He talks less about technique. Less about speed. More about timing. About restraint. About knowing when not to finish. Once a reporter asks him about insults. What do you do when someone disrespects you? She asks. Jackie thinks. Sometimes, he says, they're giving you information. About what? About what they're afraid to lose. The reporter doesn't fully understand. But somewhere in Hong Kong, a karate dojo continues training a little differently than it once did. Years later, a young instructor there repeats a phrase to his students. You are flesh and bone, he tells them. They stiffen, expecting criticism. But flesh and bone are not weak, he continues. They are honest. They tell the truth if you listen. That phrase traces back to one afternoon. One insult. One choice not to strike. Jackie-chan heard, you're just flesh and bone. The shock wasn't what he did next. It was what he didn't. Because sometimes the strongest response isn't force. It's control. And once a room learns that, it never sounds the same again.